Welcome to the Print Fam podcast, an almost weekly podcast about printing, promotional products, and all things business. I'm your host, Darren, founder of the Print Fam. I'm joined by Daniel Pentecost, founding director of CLT Geek, and one of our Print Fam admins. So, Daniel, I know we were talking the last week about bulk laser, and you had some questions that you thought others might have too. And we thought this would be a great way to answer your questions and give people answers as well. So, what do you got for me?
Indeed. So, well, I was kinda nosy. I've ordered from Bulk Laser, bulklaser.com. I know many of our Print Fam members have ordered from bulklaser.com. I've never actually heard you explain how Bulk Laser started. Like, why does Bulk Laser exist? What what happened that it was birthed?
Well, it was an accident or non intentional, I should say. Um, in March of 2022, that's about the time that I got my first fiber laser. The intention with the fiber laser was to be able to run tumblers on it to remove powder coating. And at the same time, I ordered some pens from China to try to laser engrave myself. And it turns out fiber lasers are not great for doing tumblers, but they're awesome for engraving pens. And I brought in that first batch of pens. I posted a couple of videos on YouTube about it, as well as just my local social media for my print shop. And they were gone super fast. I ordered, I think it was only a few hundred of a few different colors. And a couple of the comments from the YouTube videos were, "Hey, I don't want to import these. There's not a good place to buy them. Will you sell me some?" And with that, I was like, what's the harm? Like, I'll post it and make it available and let people buy them. And so that's kind of the origins of how it happened. Was I bought some for myself and made them available for. I should remember the person or try to find their comment, but they are why bulk laser exists. I sat down and got on Namecheap and searched for names that I thought would be easy to say, easy to spell, and bulk laser.
But, so you mentioned that a fiber laser isn't necessarily the best choice for tumblers. Um, we were gonna talk about more lasering, but for the uninitiated, what happens when you laser a tumbler with a fiber laser?
So a fiber laser is really good at marking metals, and it will remove the powder coat. But if you don't have just the perfect settings, it will also mark the metal underneath the powder coat. And so the issue that I was running into was I would blast away the powder coat, but then I'd also char the metal because it wasn't consistent, because I didn't have perfect settings. Then it would just make the logo look inconsistent because part of the metal would be marked more than others, or because it sat on there longer, or because we ran it too slow, then it would make it really dark. So being able to get really consistent results, regardless of the color, regardless of the logo, it just doesn't work very well. CO2 is definitely the better laser to do that.
Gotcha. And how many lasers have you owned in the last 5 years?
How many have I owned, or how many do I currently have?
And I said owned, because I think most people will be shocked at what the owned versus currently have number is,
I think I have owned 12 or 15.
and finally in production.
Currently in production, there are 7.
Nice. Now, since we mentioned the tumblers, I guess we should mention the pens. You sell a very specific pen, a very specific style of pen. It's actually one of my favorite pens to sell as a promo item. Um, how did you come across that particular pen, and what makes it so good for lasering?
So I came across that pen because it's one of the most popular pens in promo. There's a lot of vendors that are suppliers that provide it. And it was one that I was selling quite frequently. And I really liked it. And they didn't have as many color options as I had. And so that was one of the reasons I wanted it. But it was just a nice pen. It's heavy. It looks nice. It is available in lots of colors. It engraves really well with a laser, both fiber and CO2, but fiber I like better. Um, it engraves really well because it is a metal bodied pen that has a soft rubber coating on it. And so the engraving removes that rubber coating to show the metal underneath it, which is why it engraves so well, because you're basically doing the same thing kind of as a tumbler where you're removing the powder coat. You're just removing the rubber coating that's on the pen. So the rubber coating makes it feel really nice in the hand because it's a metal pen. It's heavier, so it just feels more premium and the ink writes well. So some people don't like ballpoint, some prefer gel, but it is a ballpoint pen, and it's I've sold to date since I started this in March 2022. I've sold almost 750,000 of them.
Oh, that's a lot of pens. I should note, so I have bought those pens. I'm familiar with those pens, and I have a CO2 laser as well as a diode laser. The pens that we're talking about are silicone stylus pens. You probably have seen them in other promo shops. I will say, if you're in the cam, you can find photos where I posted the difference in engraving between CO2 and the fiber laser. Particularly if you would like a deep engrave. And I'll mention that if you don't have a fiber laser, Darren actually offers the same pens through his pen.city website. And we put that in the notes, a link to that. If you don't want to laser your own pens, he's got a sweet setup to be able to turn those around even in bulk fairly quickly. But there is a difference between how CO2 engraves on the stylus pens versus the fiber. And basically, the CO2 doesn't burn away the metal. It's not designed to. And so, if you want a laser engrave that burns away that top layer of metal so that it is a true deep etch, fiber is the only way to go. And if you don't have a fiber laser, like I said, Darren does offer those pins engraved via pen.city. Um, in regards to other items that you've got, we've talked about pens, but I know you sell more than pens. What are your other top selling products?
Yeah, so the pens is what started it. And as I was selling more pens, people just asked, well, can you carry other things? Can you have other products? And so the product categories have initially started out as things that I sell locally. So it's things that I would sell, that I would carry, that I've added, and then I've added more that people have just requested. So mostly it is laser engravable items, but I do have a few sublimation items. But we have journals, coasters, keychains, some mouse pads. Um, we have pocket knives. Um, we have the pens, obviously. We have ink refills for the pens. I also sell Suma cutting blades because, again, I buy them for myself and people wanted to buy them. So I made those available. Um, I'm constantly looking at trying to add new things. The newest item is the pocket knife, and I'm currently toying with the idea of adding like USB power banks that have cables built into them. That is, I'm still not sure if I want to yet, just because I'm not sure I want to deal with batteries and warranties
Mm.
and everything associated with that. Um, but I'm constantly looking at it from like a business perspective. The idea behind it is that I want to add more products so that the average order value increases. So people that buy pens might add something else, or they might see something that they like, that they'll try it, and then maybe they'll sell it and they'll buy more to become kind of a repeat product place where people just continue to buy at whatever frequency. So just lots of different products, but like some of the products I know, like Daniel, you buy the journals and you'll use UV DTF on them. You
Mhm.
don't even engrave them. So there's a lot of use cases outside of just the typical use case, like even the coasters. Um, we had a woodworker buy them a few weeks ago, and he turns cigar holders on wood, and he likes to use the slate coasters as the bottom because it's not flammable if you have a cigar that is resting on it. So there's lots of use cases for them. It's just a matter of how crafty do you find yourself.
Can't say that I'm a crafty person, although I guess I would be a maker because I do enjoy making things. But I will say for those that are not familiar with UVDTF, if you're not familiar with that term, I should drop a note. That is sort of like a sticker, but with no backing, printed such that when you apply it, it is a super duper sticky permanent decal on whatever you have applied. For example, if you put one on a tumbler, this is a UV DTF sticker, and it will be basically permanent for the life of the tumbler as long as you don't abuse the tumbler. Um, I know, Darren, you and I are both sort of waiting impatiently for the uh, Eufy Make E1 UV printer to show up. Both of us backed that Kickstarter, and I think lots of folks who are participating in the Eufy Make Kickstarter will find some of the items on bulklaser.com to be profitable items that they could UV print directly and sell. I know I intend to print journals whenever I get my Eufy Make printer. So we're hoping that their delay in shipping becomes a hurry up so that we get them before Christmas.
Well, they
In
said they have an
regards
update
to,
tomorrow though, so hopefully it's a good update.
mm, I don't, that's that. Now I'm going to be anxious. See, you shouldn't have mentioned that because now I'll be looking to see all the time when they post the thing. We've mentioned bulklaser.com a couple times. I think some folks might be interested to know like what platform, what back end, what powers this thing. What are you using to drive the engine?
So I am a tinker. I come from the IT trade. So initially I wanted to use WooCommerce, but WooCommerce, at least at the time, didn't have a really good, simple way to integrate shipping. So from the beginning, Bulk Laser has been on Shopify because the shipping is just built in. It's easy. I was initially concerned because I'm cheap and I didn't want to spend the money for Shopify. But overall, it's been worth it. So the whole thing is just built on Shopify. I do have a custom theme that I purchased. So Martin, who is part of the Facebook group, he actually recommended the theme that I purchased. It The biggest thing that I think it added was inventory levels, which people have really appreciated. That it shows how much inventory is available in real time all the time. But it made it look a little bit nicer. Um, but it is just the cheapest version of Shopify. I think it's like $29 a month, and that's where it lives. I think the theme cost me about $300. Um, but super simple tech. Um, I do tie it in. Originally, I tied it in with Pirate Ship for all the shipping, but recently I switched over to Vico, which is an Amazon company for shipping. The reason I did that is we were having a few shipping issues where we pulled the wrong product and shipped it to the incorrect person. And with Vico, they have barcode based scanning. So we have a little handheld device and barcodes on all the products now so that when you pick it from the shelf, you scan the barcode and it either confirms that you picked the right thing or it yells at you saying that you picked the wrong thing. So it's alleviated some of those issues. Not completely, but I don't think since we've switched, we've had like a shipment issue. The other nice thing specifically about Vico is it now like it lets me split shipments into multiple boxes and it will provide the tracking number through Shopify for both boxes. So before, if a box was too big and I thought it might break or have problems in shipping, then we would create one shipment and then in Pirate Ship would go duplicate the shipment and send it. And it didn't tell people, hey, you're going to get two boxes. And then it required
Mm.
additional work to go do that. Or I just wouldn't tell them. And I would either wait for them to complain saying, I'm missing part of my order. And now with Vico, we can split the boxes and it does the notifications for us. So that's really nice.
Think this would be a good time to mention that you have a video that posted previously about the new racking system that you have in the warehouse. So if folks would like to see the inventory that you're carrying, that does feature some in the racking video. And so you can see that in the other videos of the channel. Speaking of the I word, It's not a four-letter word, but it can definitely be a four-letter word, inventory. Um, what does your inventory look like? What are you carrying to be able to ship those orders as people order?
Yeah, the inventory is the hardest thing about bulk Blazer. Um, Not only like the cost that I have in inventory, but just kind of guessing what I'm going to need. And I try to use historical data, but we'll start with the price. I currently have $82,000 worth of inventory, and that's it's a really hard thing because I have so much money tied up into it. Um, but it's also hard because most of my products come from overseas. Well, I'm pretty sure all of my products come from overseas. They do all come from overseas. Um, and with that, there's usually a manufacturing time because most of them are custom. They're made for specifically me with my order. So they have to be manufactured, and then they have to be shipped, and then they have to go through customs, and then we have to receive them. We have to sort them. We have to put them on the shelf. So the delay of getting a product is significant. It can be anywhere from a couple of months to the longest one that I had took about 8 months from the time that I ordered it to the time that I received it. And so I'm kind of playing like if we look at it from like the pen perspective, I think we have about 100,000 pens on the shelf. And as inventory drops, like it's unknown if all of a sudden someone's going to place a 1,000 piece, 2,000 piece, 4,000 piece order for one color of pen. And so it's a matter of how much stock do I want to have? How much stock do I need to have in transit to kind of guess? Because a lot of it is a guess. Because like Daniel's favorite color is purple. And if all of a sudden Daniel's like, I want 1,000 pens, but I only have a couple thousand on the shelf, then all of a sudden it's going to take a month, 2 months, 3 months to get more purple pens. And I have to try to guess that based off of historical data, but also just like what's going on. Like with political campaign season this year, it's like, I know I need red and blue, but that tends to only come every 2 years and every 4 years for the big side of it. So it's like, okay, I need red and blue for sure every 4 years, and I need to have more than normal because of that this time of year. And so it's a big game that I have to play. And it's hard because like I look at the big suppliers and you go look and they have 20,000 of every single pen, every single color, and they have 100,000 square foot warehouses, and they're probably doing hundreds of thousands of pens a day. And I'm just this little fish in the pond. But it's hard when like I have more inventory and more pens than I pay myself in a year. And I can't pay myself more because it's tied up in inventory, but I need inventory to sell it. And so it's this big shell game.
Um, from a, I guess you could say, orders that would wipe you out standpoint, how many times have you gotten orders this year that wiped out the available inventory for whatever it was that was ordered?
Recently, we had two, like within the last month or maybe 2 months, because I already have the replacement product now. Um, but that was for journals both times. It was two different people that ordered every single journal that I had. And unfortunately, like on both of them, my inventory was off by one item. And so then it's a matter of calling them and being like, you ordered this many, but I'm short one. Do you want a different color or do you want a refund for one journal? Um, and in both cases, I think we just put in another color for them. But I know that's happened. It's happened less frequently with pens because I'm trying to set a higher minimum for pens. Just because I do sell them blank, so people can decorate them themselves. But I also sell them decorated through Pen City, which is wholesale only. And so I try to be that resource for people, just because some people they have the capability of decorating themselves, but they don't necessarily have the capability or time if they have bigger orders or orders. like if you're on vacation or different things, then we try to be a resource as well to decorate them.
Speaking of Pin City, so if somebody ordered the pins through Pin.City, realistically, what's the largest order size that you could handle and not sort of crimp your stock?
We haven't had one yet that has cramped our style. I think the our average order size with Pen Dot City is about 120 pens. I think the biggest order we've done through Pen Dot City is 2,500. Um, Really, it would cramp our style just depending on if they want. Like if you want 5,000 of one color, that would, in most cases, I think I have 5,000 of every color right now. Um, but there are a few where I definitely don't have 5,000 of one color, and that's
So
just part of the growing pain.
if I've been sitting with a purple pen order in my back pocket for 5,000 purple pens for my own personal use, you got 5,000 purple pens? Is that what you're saying?
I'm pretty sure with purple, I purposefully stock extra because of you specifically. Because in the
Hey, what
past
can I say?
you have messaged me in the past saying how many purple do I have, and I know that with you specifically, I lost an order to another vendor because I didn't have inventory.
It does happen, but I will say, as a small business owner, um, not every order is for you. In fact, we had this conversation in the print fam about another topic. Not every order is for you. Um, it happens, and the goal is to take as many of the ones that are for you as possible. Not that I enjoy dealing with that little vendor because I can't stand it. But for that particular order, I needed a boatload of pens, and somebody had them at a price I couldn't say no to. It happens. But
So
they did
specifically
not
with
show up
purple,
in purple shoes with purple phone cases and purple mice and purple watches. It's,
I
um,
do have 10,000 purple right now, so I
woohoo!
will watch for your order of 5,000.
Right, I talked to for a bunch that are gonna be for a, holiday event, and so they want me to sponsor an event, and I will need some kind of merch for that, and they might get pins. We'll see. What is the aside from inventory and dealing with people in general, because that is a retail business, it's slightly different than, dealing on the wholesale side with people that supposedly know what they're doing. Um, if What is the biggest challenge that you run into on a day-to-day basis with bulk laser? Is there a is it just an inventory issue? Is there some other business challenge to it?
Really, it comes down to, like, do I add more products? With that, it then ties back into the inventory and the pricing, and that's the constant battle with bulk laser. Like, getting orders, like, we tend to ship orders once a day. So if you ordered today and they haven't shipped yet, then we'll ship it today. We tend to do that kind of first thing in the morning just because the post office doesn't like to honor our specified hours. So we specify that we open at 9:30, and they usually show up about 8:45, which luckily my employee is here at 8 o'clock. So he tries to, first thing in the morning, just do all the bulk laser orders that are there so that the post office can pick them up. Luckily, UPS is much kinder to us. They usually show up around 2 o'clock. But we can also text him, and we have a drink fridge. And so we just text him and say, "Hey, can you stop by?" And if he doesn't have anything to deliver, then he'll just come get a drink and pick up our packages. So that's way cheaper than scheduling a $10 visit directly through the platform. Um, but yeah, really the struggle comes down to, do I buy more inventory of existing products, and do I add new products, which then adds to the inventory, because it is just kind of moving shelves around. It's okay. Like if I order pens today, it'll take them a couple of weeks to manufacture. It'll take a couple of weeks to get to the boat, to get on the boat, to then be on the boat for about a month, then go through customs to get through me. So it's a game of, okay, how many pens do I have now? How many pens do I anticipate selling over the next month or two? To how many should I order to restock the needs without also over having inventory, because you don't want inventory to sit on the shelf too long, get old, get damaged, and all of that. So really, like, to me, like, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but it's the lie of the six-figure business. The online
Mhm.
gurus are like, oh, build the six-figure business, because it's like bulk laser is a six-figure business. But the reality is it makes no money, because all the money that it has or does make currently goes to inventory. So we've got $82,000 worth of inventory. I think year to date, I've spent about $15,000 on shipping, and I pay my guy to process it. I pay monthly for the storage space. So there's a lot of expense that goes into it. And can I say it's made no money? No. Like, there is some profit aside from the expenses, but to look at it as like, oh, it's a six-figure business, like, it's I'm not going to retire anytime soon. I'm not going to shut down the rest of my business. I'm grateful that I can help other people in the print fam and just in general, that there's a resource that they can buy from. But it's a constant battle of money and the inventory.
Somebody said that they were going to start this business. Let's say they were crazy and they said, "Oh, I'm going to start a competitor with the bulk laser." If they were to get the same inventory that you have right now, let's say 80 grand worth of inventory, how long would it take them to get the stuff, inventory the stuff, and sell the stuff? Like, how long would they be sitting on $80,000 worth of having spent in order to try to make a dollar?
If you weren't like, because I also sell the pens myself and through Pen City. So it was strictly from, I'm just reselling. You probably wouldn't see a profit for 2 years.
You know, that hurts. I'm a tightwad. You know I'm a tightwad. That really hurts.
Yeah.
2 years to get
One,
a return on the money that you spent is, a lot longer than people think that they're gonna spend. I can tell you that.
like, luckily, it's like it has been a slow buildup. I didn't go and spend that amount of money. Like, I freaked out in March when I bought a couple thousand pens. March 2022. It was like, oh, how am I gonna like? And like, my business has drastically changed since then. Like, it's only been 3 years, but like, the amount of money that I spend, the amount of money that comes in, the amount of money that goes out, like, everything is drastically different. And like, I bought like the power banks that I bought to test to see if I liked them, to see if I wanted to go through the headache. Like, it cost me $1,000, and while $1,000 is a lot of money, it was, well, I know I will at least sell them fourth quarter to my local customers. So I wasn't worried about, oh, I'm spending this money and it's just going to disappear. It was a calculated decision of, okay, I'm going to test it, see if I like it, so that I can sell them to bulk laser or not, or if I'm just going to sell them locally. So having that like extra process in there where it's like, okay, everything on bulk laser I can sell locally. So even if I shut down bulk laser today, I didn't sell anymore, like, I could sell everything that I have to my local customers. And so having that kind of safety net is really what makes it feasible. And there's no way that I would have this business at all if I didn't have that like safety built in, I guess.
Sweet. Um, you mentioned that you have a guy who helps in the business and processes your orders. Um, are the kids helping any? Do you have plans on adding another employee? What does the quarter and the year ahead look like?
I do want to add more employees just to try to take stuff off my plate. I do have 5 kids. Most of them are not old enough to help. My two oldest can help, and they do help in the business sometimes, but not at a capacity that is frequent. So my oldest daughter is 14, and her main duty is coming in and cleaning. So she'll come and empty garbages and clean the bathrooms and sweep the floors and mop areas and different things. Um, and then my son will come in and he'll occasionally do that, or like sometimes I'll have them move stuff or organize boxes. And if we have jobs that are like mundane or really simple, then I'll have them do that. So, as an example, um, we had a 25,000 business card order that we had to split into 250 pieces. And so I set up the counting scale for them, and they would take them out of the box, put them on the counting scale, and then take it from the counting scale and put it into a business card box. So like they'll help with tasks like that. Eventually, I do hope that I can get bulk laser big enough that they can be more consistent and have daily work or at least a couple of days of work a week. Um, but my end, I don't see my children wanting to take over the family business. I think that I need to build it to sell or build it to earn enough so that if I shut it down, that it won't matter.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of earn enough, what kind of profit margin should people expect? What kind of pricing should they offer to their end customers if they're buying something from Bulk Laser? Like, what can they expect to earn from what they buy?
So I usually recommend doing 2 or 3x. I know some people do as much as four, but you should mark up the product and the time involved with decorating. So you should mark up the product. I usually recommend at least 100% on that. So if you're buying something and it costs 50 cents, you should sell it for $1 plus the time to decorate it. Um, in some things you can get more, in some things you can get less. It also just depends on your market. It also depends on how confident you are in selling the product. Um, but a lot of times, like I prefer to have some stuff on my shelf so that I can quickly turn it around, and it makes people really happy. And it usually also comes with a higher price tag because they understand that they're going to pay for it because it needs to be done and it needs to be done quickly. So having a few blank items on the shelf that you can either laser engrave, direct UV print, sublimate, or UV DTF makes it really nice to be able to just have some stuff. Like I know Daniel just did some um, chapstick, which I thought was awesome, and it is very well tied into the same things with bulk laser. Like I keep keychains and journals and pens, things that are kind of relatively low cost items that you can decorate. That way, people can give them away and they're not paying a ton amount of money. But at the same time, you can make a decent amount of money because you can usually turn them pretty quickly. But you can grave a ton of pens at a time, grave journals, like especially if you're doing UV DTF, it doesn't take a long time to decorate them. Um, and also, like Daniel, I know, was trying to UV DTF some stuff and he found out put them in the freezer and it makes it a lot easier to apply sometimes.
You definitely have to be creative with some substrates. We had a particular substrate that was plastic that did not want to receive UVDTF. In that, the whole thing would stick, and you couldn't get the UVDTF transfer sheet to come off. And yes, in that particular case, we found out that freezing them was the magic solution. And as long as you would adhere the UVDTF on it and peel it while it was still fresh out of the freezer, and you could do it completely trouble free. So, um, if you're in the print fam and you ever get a hold of an item and you need some help trying to figure out how to actually decorate it, feel free to post a picture of that thing and ask how you can do it. As I mentioned, I did a bunch of lip balm. We keep lip balm on the shelf. If you're in the print fam, you can find the post and where I buy that from. I would have been able to sell that at 4x my cost to a client if it was for a client. Um, those were actually for us. We were using them as swag, but I needed them the next day. Didn't have an option to order them from somewhere else. So went to my magic shelf to see what we had enough of. And it just so happens one of the things that we had was lip balm. And for those of you that question my purple thread, If you haven't already seen it in this video, go check that post in the prep fam and you will see that we gave away purple plaid lip balm. Lip balm itself is not purple, but the labeling is all purple. And so we do love our purple. And a couple people asked me what lip balm tastes like. I'm not a lip balm person or a bubblegum person. Somehow I managed to be the kid that didn't like bubblegum. Don't ask. I don't know how that happens. But so if you would like to try out one of our lip balms, uh, if you'll pay postage, I'll ship you one. Or you can just buy a whole set for like less than $30 from our vendor that I posted. That's something to consider when you're looking at a business like Bulk Laser or Pin City or anywhere else. There's three things that excite me about Bulk Laser. One is I know that Darren actually has it on the shelf. That product exists. It's not in some phantom warehouse. It's not over in China that somebody's going to try to overnight. I call that the Etsy phenomenon, where somebody's going to fake overnight from China something to make it appear as if it came from the U.S. No, these are actual items that are physically on the shelf in Utah. So I know that they exist. The second thing is someone else has already been using them in their business. So I know that they're not crap. They are actual products that people would want to buy because, as Darren said, he's actually selling them locally. And if he closed up shop and never sold another bulk laser item, he could sell them all local, which means that it's not the cheapest of the cheap. It means just set your expectations that way when you go to bulklaser.com. May not be the item that's 10 cents a piece because it's actually a quality item that somebody's going to want to buy. I will not name the company, but there is a big pen company that sends out all of these advertisements to businesses when they figure out that you're a business and offers to sell you pens at effectively pennies on the dollar. And then when they get there, they're crap, like true crap. I hate to use the word crap. They're You can only describe what they sell on their new customer promos as crap. Well, Darren is not going to sell crap to his local customers. Like he's got to see these people. Unlike some big industrial warehouse corporation that's only responsible to its investors, he's actually responsible to the people that he sees in the drop off line at school that are buying stuff local. And so he is not going to sell a product that lacks quality. The last thing is that the items do have space for margin. Some of the maker companies, we got into tumblers now where people will sell you a tumbler and the price between what you can sell a tumbler for and what you paid for it and the labor you put into it, you might be able to make a profit. But the things that are on bulk laser are things that you should be able to actually sell and make. Do remember when you're pricing, I think we're going to do a video about pricing. Or do we both agree on that? So there will be a subsequent video on how to price stuff. And when you're pricing your products, you never want to be the least expensive option. And if you are, close up your doors and go home because your business is already failing. You're going to want the people that you're doing business with, if they're doing business with you as a small business, if you're doing business on a relationship basis, they should be paying you a price that actually pays for you and your family to live, that buys groceries, that pays your rent, that respects the fact that your costs are more than somebody who's got a 2 million square foot warehouse and gets money from the stock market and doesn't pay its workers a responsible wage. I'm not talking about some Zon company. Nope, that's not who I'm talking about. But you got to remember that the playing field that you're playing on is not level, and you should be able to explain that to your customers. So go take a look at bulklaser.com, find some stuff that you can decorate, and keep a few items on the shelf. I know I keep a few hundred pens, and I think I've got maybe 25 or 30 journals on hand at the moment. We try to keep 6 or a dozen coffee mugs on hand, keep these metal tumblers. These are not sold on bulklaser.com, but you can find them elsewhere. You can ask me in the print fam where I get them if you would like. But keep some stuff on hand so that when you get those last minute requests that can be very profitable, that you can turn them around, give somebody a quality product, and smile knowing that they're going to be happy. And at the end of the day, I think really that's what bulk laser is about, is you, Darren, being able to offer the community something that they can turn around and sell to their clients and be happy. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because basically I needed it for myself, and I saw a need that other people had. There are things that I'm cheaper. Like I know a lot of people go to Amazon to buy products, um, and I'm cheaper. Like I will toot my horn on the pens at least. As far as the other products, I can't say for sure, but I have not found anyone that sells the blank pens for as low as I do, knowing that they're a quality product. So I'll toot my horn there. If you know someone, share it with me. Doesn't mean I'm going to change it, but I would like to know. But yeah, I know they're good products. I sell them all the time, and it's just a hope that I can help other people. That was the whole reason for starting this YouTube channel in the first place, was to help people, and because the knowledge and information wasn't readily available, it was hidden behind years of just business owners that were secretive and didn't want to share, and I want to be quite the opposite. So it was all intended to help people, to grow and just be able to make a living. Because I think the hardest lesson that I have learned is sticking to my prices and telling people no.
Mm. Letting people know. That is a whole podcast in itself. Speaking of upcoming podcasts, be sure if you're watching this on YouTube to like and subscribe. Feel free to share it with your friends. We'd appreciate them knowing we exist. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or somewhere else, wherever you get your podcasts, please be sure to rate this podcast, um, and add it to your feed or add it to your subscriptions, whatever nomenclature they have, so that you will catch the next episodes as they release. As Darren mentioned in the open, this is an almost weekly podcast. We don't promise to be here every week, but we will try. And we look forward to being on this journey with you. And we appreciate you being part of the Print Fam. If you have not joined the Facebook group, if you search for Print Fam, PRINTFAM exclamation point, you can join us over there and participate in the conversation. It is open membership to anyone who is trying to grow a business. If you're using it for your own personal stuff, where it might not be the group for you. But if you're trying to grow a business, we'd love to see your face. And if you're coming or came to Printing United, let us know. Drop a note in the comment. Tell us what you'd like for us to explore in future episodes. And we look forward to seeing you on the next.
See you later.